Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the No Flop Zone. You're taking time out with me, Botty Nodge, and also with the coach, Joey Wright, who's been away in Egypt looking at pyramids.
Yeah, it was excellent. Something I wanted to do ever since I was a kid and got a chance to do it. So, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I think we should probably do a show on that. I'm sure there'll be people interested. I know I am. But while you were away, Joe Lual-Acuil signed with the Perth Wildcats for 2 years. That was his home. He grew up apparently watching the Wildcats. Did you get some sense in the off-season that Joe Lual-Acuil and Melbourne United, when they parted company, that was permanent?
Well, I didn't get the feeling that it was permanent, but I did see a lot of bad body language and a lot of conversations with the captain and him, trying to get him in line. It just didn't look good that second time around. And sometimes players, once they feel good about themselves and feel like they, taking a leap, they also sometimes play with a different attitude. Let's say that.
The ego kicks in.
The ego kicks in. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see, enough of it to say he wouldn't go back to Melbourne, but I was, surprised that he didn't go back to Melbourne because Melbourne usually can pay people to be there.
So Wildcats now really just a quality import point guard away from what looks like a reasonable roster.
Definitely got some athletes on the roster. Definitely got some guys that can make plays. I think Keanu going is going to be that's going to hurt him a little bit. And obviously Bryce not being there is definitely going to hurt him. But they do have enough on the roster. They put enough good players to compete for sure.
Yep. And Will Magnay, he's committed to JackJumpers after playing in Summer League, and for a while they looked a bit like we might lose him to the NBA, but he's committed.
Yeah, let's hope we don't lose him to injury at the JackJumpers.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice. We could get through a whole season.
If we can get through a whole season, they'll be tough.
They've added Bryce Hamilton. He's a 6'4" shooting guard import. And David Johnson is the other import. And then Josh Bannon, Nick Marshall, Ben Air. It's not looking too bad.
I mean, I think all the teams in the competition have enough funds and wherewithal, the first seven, it's going to look good anywhere.
Right.
And obviously Scott Roth can coach. So he's going to get 7 guys, 8 guys to play the way he wanted them to play, and they're going to be competitive no matter what. Okay,
and the Southeast Melbourne have signed, I'll try and get this right, Renz Blygenberg. He's a 6'10" Belgian. We don't get a lot of guys out of Europe. I think the last one might have been Martin Muraset that played for Melbourne Tigers from Estonia.
Yeah.
I think that when they played you in the Brisbane in the final, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was close back then. I do remember them having somebody off cuff. But yeah, not a lot of times we get players that come over from Europe because usually Europe can match salaries and keep them there. And the ones that come probably ain't worth coming. So it'd be interesting to see how good this kid is.
Okay, because, they're not shaping up too bad. I mean, as you said, the first 7 for most teams looks pretty good, and we'll do a bit of a deep dive in a minute on Adelaide and Brisbane. We've got the Hawks competing in the 2025 FIBA Intercontinental Cup in Singapore in September versus champions from Brazil, Spain, Japan, Libya. We've got the 2 NBL teams playing against the teams from Europe. We're going global.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's a great opportunity to see how we match up. We've been saying, second best league in the world forever.
Sorry.
Here's an opportunity to prove it, but I do think, they can compete with them. But, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, and the other big news is the Breakers have cut Tacko Fall, cut him loose.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. 2-year contract, but, 18 games was enough.
Yeah, that's you sign a 2-year contract and then get rid of him. I'm sure they would have come up with something where it didn't hurt the club financially to get rid of him. But I thought last year he was just fun to watch. I know you got to slow everything down for him to play. Our league isn't really conducive for big guys like that, but he was fun to watch.
So it was more a novelty than a real addition because they were traveling pretty well before he came.
As a coach, I probably would want that scenario, but as a fan, I love watching it.
Okay, we're expecting an announcement soon out of United about a big guy. They were looking for one in Summer League. And now let's talk about Brisbane because your favourite import player, Jaylen Adams.
Yeah, I mean, it always happens in the NBL. It always happens in the NBL. You get a guy who's stand out and who's MVP, and somebody's going to give him at least 3 years.
Yeah.
He can be an idiot for 3 years, and somebody first year after MVP, idiot, we'll keep him. Next year, he was MVP, so somebody will sign him. And then third year, someone will go, he was pretty good, and he's just going down, down, down. I don't think it's a good pick for Brisbane.
Do you think in his case, I mean, we don't know the guy, but do you think in his case, that first year that he played and he won the MVP and Kings won the championship, that he still thought, I'm getting back to the NBA?
Oh, 100%.
And now that he knows that he's not, that it's dropped.
That NBA cloud, I've seen it with players, and you coach a player the first year after they know they're not going to make it into the NBA, it is just a disaster.
Nightmare.
Yeah, disaster.
Okay, so let's talk a bit more about Brisbane. How do you like the way they've shaped the line? They've got Casey Prather as well. A few good players there.
Oh, they definitely got enough talent. Once again, the first 7 will be great, and those guys stay healthy. I mean, Terrell Harrison could be one of the best big men in the whole league.
Yep.
I mean, he showed me some flashes last year that were awesome. Once again, he needs to stay healthy. Casey Prather did a great job last year staying healthy and just dominating the league. So if he can bring that back, it'll be great. It'll be interesting to see how a ball-hungry Adams worked with Prather. A lot of Prather's ability last year was just being able to give him the ball in ISO situations and him going to work on players. So we'll see if those two gel, if they get along and work well together. But you do have some, you have some pieces there.
Yep. Okay. And what about Adelaide? Are you seeing them as a contender?
Oh, I definitely see Adelaide as a contender. I mean, they have everything they need to be great. Obviously, we know what Bryce going to do and absolutely kill it. Where you say they're a little bit suspect at is at the point guard, because they're going to run with Flynn, who's a 2-year point guard, who I think is going to be exceptional and probably have a chance to play in the NBA at some point. If he comes to in his 3rd year and just really hits its lick, that could be tough. Rasmussen coming off the bench or even starting, whichever, I don't know which way they're going to go with him. But 2 young point guards, that's where I would try to cut them off at, make them make a lot of decisions in the backcourt before they even get across the half court.
Yep.
Hurry up offense, blitzing them a couple times, just changing up defense and making those point guards really, really think of how the flow of the game and forcing Bryce or DJ to handle the ball more, therefore not shooting the ball more. I think they got the roster to win it. I mean,
all right. That was the next question I was going to ask you. Do you see them getting past the semi-final round? Are they capable?
Oh, I think if they're not in the finals, it's in
the actual final, like the playoff.
Really? I think they got enough talent. Trez to me, I know he was good, but I don't think people gave him enough credit. I mean, he was 18 points, 18 rebounds. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
He scored over 70% one-on-one on the block. Like, the guy is unbelievable. I think people get caught up in his antics for the wrong reason and get distracted by him. I think he's distracting people from seeing how good he really is. Yeah, just with all the antics. But I enjoy him. So
okay. Now the last show, as you know, while you were gallivanting off overseas, being an international jet setter, we had John Casey come in, and we asked him some questions. He made a very interesting observation, which I want to throw to you as a coach. One was that we said, what rule change would you like to see? And he said, no tolerance, 0 tolerance for coaches, that they should sit down and get on with coaching the game. No. Now, as someone who's controlled the sideline, I thought you'd like that.
Nah.
John, if you're watching.
Nah. It would take all the personality out of the game. I mean, same thing. If you go 0 tolerance for players on the court, and then you go 0 tolerance for fans, and then 0 tolerance for coaches, and 0 tolerance for commentators as well.
And then what you have? You have the United States.
It would be very boring in that respect. The referees have rules that they can make coaches adhere to, and that's what you do.
Right.
You just make them adhere to whatever the rules may be, but 0 tolerance, I don't think would be sufficient.
Well, maybe not 0 tolerance, but I mean, if you look at other sports like soccer, football, whatever, the coaches are really not engaging with the umpires or the referees during the course of the contest.
Yeah, totally different sport, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not a bad
field,
thing.
It's
just a bad look sometimes when they're up and sniping. Coaches I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's definitely a bad look. I mean, there's been scenarios where I'll look back at myself on video and be like, you idiot, what are you doing? But it's part of the game, and once again, the referees have the ability to make a call. If they want to make a call, technical, make the call.
So rather than 0 tolerance, just saying the refs need to do their job a little bit more forcefully.
Yeah.
And
do
say,
their job. Yeah.
That's enough, coach, or whatever.
Yeah. And also do their job too.
All right, we've got some viewers' topics. We've got Tyrannobus Maximus 6,100. I totally agree there should be a trade period in the NBL. And he's just asking what would have been a few good trades that we might have seen last season had there been a trade period. I thought of one.
Oh, Ben Air leaving Southeast Melbourne for any reason would have been good. Someone
to Tasmania,
yeah,
because Sean McDonald was injured early. They weren't using it. That was the obvious one to me.
Yeah. That one would have been a great trade. I can't really think of any other ones right now, but definitely would have been some opportunities to trade some players last year.
Yeah. Okay. Ballaholic says, Joey, if you're coaching Adelaide, as good as they look on paper, how do you get that talent to work together and buy in? As all three imports and DJ could argue on any other team, they'd be the man and could demand the ball a lot. Going forward, who do you think offensively has to sacrifice the most out of their starting group?
I think DJ will probably sacrifice the most out of the starting group. He'll still be looking and still be aggressive because that's just who he is, but he's going to share a lot more shot load with Bryce than anybody else he's played with ever.
Yep.
And I think he's okay with that. I don't think he'll have a problem with it. To answer the first question, one, you're going to sit everyone down that's important in making those decisions and explain to them that we all going to make sacrifices if we're going to win. So Bryce, you're not going to have it exactly the way you want it. Trez, you're not going to have it the way you want it. DJ, you're not going to have it the way you want it. And guess what? I'm not going to have it exactly the way I want it either as a coach. We're going to all have to sacrifice something for us to be great. So this is what I think you need to give up. You're going to give up. You're going to give up. And this is what I'm going to give up in order for us to be successful. And then hold them accountable to that conversation for the rest of the year with zero tolerance.
The guy I thought would be impacted the most initially would be Flynn Cameron. As the youngest and the newest face and the least established. I mean, we both have the same opinion of him. He's going to be great. But I thought he might be the one that actually suffers in that group.
Well, I mean, I don't think he suffers at all regardless as long as he's playing. Like if he's on the court playing and I don't care if he's averaging 6 points, it's still important for him to be out there and be aggressive on defensive end and set things up, get the ball to where it needs to be. But I don't think they're expecting a lot out of him, so that's why I don't think he's going to give up a lot. Trez, DJ, and Bryce are going to be the ones that have to sacrifice something for one another at some point in time in the game.
And why do NBL teams not make more use of the special restricted player? Like the Hawks picked a solid one in Hai-Jung Lee. Why don't more people avail themselves of that opportunity?
Those guys are stars in their own countries. Like those restricted players, like they're superstars in their own country, and a lot of times require a lot more, financial wherewithal than some of the even local guys, and they're, maybe marginally better. So the price tag's big, but the talent is about as what you can get from an Australian. So that's why you don't see a ton of them.
S. Tomlinson. So that sort of rings a bell. Canberra could be a much better place for an expansion team than the Gold Coast. So this one of your mates from the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast is where sporting teams go to die, not the elephant's graveyard. Canberra would have access to federal funds in terms of building a suitable venue, strong corporate support, captive audience. Given with all due respect, there's not much going on in Canberra. And they are, the NBL is playing the Blitz there. The pre-season tournament, so they're obviously testing the waters to see how many of the fans come out of the woodwork and like the old Cannons fans. So what do you think, Canberra rather than Gold Coast? Because you are hot on Gold Coast.
Yeah, I love Gold Coast, and as far as people wanting to play there, you're gonna get a lot of players that want to play there. You're gonna get a lot of people who want to be there. But I think he is right. Like it's such a transient population on the Gold Coast that people come to actually watch the other teams, So when Sydney come to town, all the Sydney people that live in town go watch Sydney. So the local support is not as great as you would want it to be. And you do need that local support. You need that local businesses to jump in as well. They're not catering to locals, so they don't care about the games. They're catering to tourists. So they want to advertise outside of the Gold Coast and not inside the Gold Coast because they're trying to get tourists there. So it's definitely from a commercial standpoint and a people standpoint, Canberra's probably better. I don't know anything about Canberra though. I know I've been there a couple of times and it wasn't my favorite place.
No, it's cold in winter. That's all I can remember. Yeah, and the War Museum is very interesting. Okay, Buffalo Hopscotch says he loves the fact that Parker Jackson Cartwright's re-signing with New Zealand. Basically, he's just saying that we should all be thrilled when a player of that caliber decides to come back and play, because it's in our interest as viewers, as lovers of the game, to see guys like that in action.
I love watching him play. He's exciting to watch. He can turn the game on the dime, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end. And he's the smallest player on the court most times. So he's definitely fun to watch. I love having him in the league. I agree with him.
Yeah, I liked it. That first season with him and Jordan Crawford, I didn't think a lot separated them at that time. But PJC's just sort of kept going up. And as you see, Jordan's not in the league anymore. So, yeah, he does amazing things. I definitely
liked him better than Crawford, just from he could organize a lot better and control the game a lot better at his size than I think Crawford did.
It's going to be interesting to see their new imports in Tasmania, given that their history has been pretty much that they've got two good ones, and then the third one was forgettable. In fact, I can't even remember the third ones for the first few years. So that third one now becomes a bit more important, I think, for Tassie.
Yeah, I think it does. When you water down your Australian talent some and you lose guys like Jack McVay, you definitely got to replace them with some bigger imports.
Yep. Okay, speaking of Jack McVay, great segue into a little bit of NBA Summer League. Jack McVay and Jack White at Atlanta, they were pretty good. Lockie Olbrich, we've got some footage of Lockie Olbrich. We've got to show this because he's done very well. He's done better than what actually you predicted that they would pick him up.
Yeah,
I sort of thought he might need another NBL season, but you were like, they'll go on what his potential, not on his talent.
Yeah, and I think he'll be a great two-way candidate. We'll see him in some games maybe next year a little bit, but probably bigger G League presence than not. Lockie's one of those guys, he's going to get over there and learn how to play the NBA game. And if he learns how to play the NBA game, he can squeak out some years for sure.
John Casey said something else that I just recalled, which I think you'd find interesting. He said that he thought that the NBA could stash Lockie Olbrich back in the NBL, but it's the Sydney Kings, where he would have access to Andrew Bogut, Luke Longley, and that sort of guys that could develop him as an NBA talent. I mean, it's not going to go that way, but how do you feel hearing that?
No, I mean, he's going to learn a lot more playing NBA rules against, subpar NBA guys and practicing the NBA, arena with the Bulls more than he can learn in a 2-hour individual session with Luke and Bogut, 3 times a week. Like that's great, and they definitely can help him get better, but he's going to learn a lot more actually being in the heat, in the fire, than he will be looking at it.
So we're going to show you some footage of Lockie, and also Johnny Furphy from Indiana. He's thrown down, what do you reckon, one of the best dunks?
It's one of the best, my top 5 of all time in any league, anywhere in the world. That was amazing. I mean, I think I was traveling somewhere and I kind of caught that dunk and disrupted the people around me.
Whoa!
Yeah, you're not gonna not do that. I thought they were showing the highlight from the day before, and when they said, you got to check out Furphy's dunk, I was like, yeah, I saw this one. The behind the back, opposite leg, 2-hand dunk, and then this one. Yeah. Oh, definitely an exciting moment. Great to watch. I'd love for him to be playing in NBL, that's for sure.
If you haven't seen it, this is what it looks like after these plays with Lockie first.
He's at 6'9", 245, got out and ran.
Nice done by Young, right on time, Olbrich. Jones wanted that back. Kyle Moore on the fast break. Behind the back to Olbrich. Team-point lead ties the largest lead in the game for the Kings. Kyle Moore between the legs of Reno. Olbrich for the finish.
Let's watch this one again. Chris, come off the screen and roll. Patience. Oh, I got you. Nice play by Yuki.
Yuki with the height advantage there. Reno, I see right through that lane. Dime right on time.
To get minutes in Indiana.
That's a good closeout. Good hands by Furphy. End-to-end action. Johnny Furphy. All over the place. The hammer from down under.
So, I mean, now that you've seen the dunk, yeah, you know what we're talking about. Okay.
Amazing in-game dunk. Yeah. Amazing in-game dunk.
Okay, and we got Tyrese Proctor, who's signed a 4-year deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been he spent 3 years at Duke University. Yeah. Do you know much about him?
Well, I coached his dad, Rob Proctor, at Brisbane for a little bit. Totally different type of player. Rob was a little small, 5 foot, 10, 11 point guard. So he must have married well. But yeah,
he's 6'6",
exciting player.
Yeah.
The Cleveland's done this more than once. And I don't know if it's a Cleveland thing where I've seen these long contracts, 4-year contracts, but not guaranteed. So I don't know if this is guaranteed contract or it's just a 4-year commitment to the Cleveland, which isn't smart, I don't like, by the players. But as far as his ability to play in the NBA, I think there's no question whether his ability to play in the NBA. He's got the size, the length, he's crafty, he can shoot the ball. I really like his game.
Ben Simmons, traveling around. You expect he's going to get a gig somewhere? Free agency?
Yeah, I don't know if he wants one, do he?
I don't know. We had some discussion about him coming back to Australia and maybe just having a great season with Melbourne United or someone like that.
I definitely don't think he'd do that.
No.
Yeah, I don't think he'd play in the NBL at all.
And Joe Ingles gets another year at Minnesota, so he's obviously a huge locker room presence.
Yeah, it goes to show you just having a locker room presence and someone that you can trust in there with your, a coach can trust that player in that locker room with his thoughts, because Joe would just be echoing the sentiments of the coach and the coaching staff, and helping those guys out in the locker room. It just goes to show being a good guy means a lot.
When he first got into the league, he was it wasn't there to sort of nursemaid Dante Exum at Utah, but that was
definitely helped. Yeah,
yes,
I was there.
Yeah.
I was around there during that period of time, so it was definitely good to help.
Got Rocco Zakarsky going to Minnesota. You think that might have had something to do with hanging on to Joe because he can help the transition for Rocco?
Well, I don't know if they, would invest that much in keeping Joe just for Rocco, but I think they're keeping Joe just for them as a whole.
Yep.
But what a great benefit for Rocco.
Yes.
To have Joe there. Australians do well when they're together. I tell coaches all the time they travel in packs. So if you want to do, build your program, get one good Australian, you can get a few good Australians, and all of a sudden you got a good team. But I think Rocco being there with Joe will be great for him. Great for him. I couldn't, pick a better player in the league to be there.
Randy Bennett at St. Mary's, he's probably taken that on board about bringing the old Australian. What's that, about 30 there?
Yeah, he's done a great job of recruiting Australian. You get a high-level player that's going to listen out of Australia.
Okay, I've got a coach's corner. Okay. This is for you. Okay. Now every time we go into a timeout, and I'm talking about elite level, so we're talking NBL, WNBL, NBA, WNBA, international, those levels where there are lots of cameras, etc. And we go into timeouts. Now, coach gets the whiteboard and starts drawing up a freaking offense. Don't you do that at practice? Isn't that where you teach them how to run the offense? What the hell are you doing? Running through and saying, hey, Joey, you go here and you go there and there. Like, well, shouldn't you be saying, guys, we've got to go over the screens. They're hitting 3-pointers. Like, shouldn't you actually be telling them something, giving them information that's relevant to what's happening in the game, as opposed to, oh, the cameras are on me. I'm going to show, look how important I am and how influential I am, because I'm going to say, Joey, you go there, and Jerome, you go there. How much of that is coaching? How much of that is bullshit?
No, I think those guys are coaching. I think that's just the way they coach. I don't know that they're playing to the cameras. I don't know if you have enough time to think about that. But no, I agree with you in one respect. I'm not going to deal with an offensive play until I get them to play right. I don't understand coaches that don't start with playing hard first. Like if my team's not playing hard and playing together, it is nothing I can draw up at all whatsoever. And I've watched a lot of coaching this year where it was zero emphasis on how hard you played. It was zero emphasis on, motivating your teammate. It was zero emphasis on communicating with one another. It was zero emphasis on doing anything outside of just scoring. And if you're that coach, you're not going to be successful anyway. So the camera can be on you for a couple years, but that's it. You're going to be out anyway. You got to look at what's affecting the ball game, talk about those things, and then hey, we can run this, run that. And sometimes you do have to draw it up, because even though you practice it every day, don't mean everybody gets it every day.
No, I get that on a last play. When you want something very specific, you got a very specific amount of time, etc. But they went into a Sydney Kings timeout last season, and Brian said, something along the lines of, what are you guys doing? We need to, and he coached. He didn't grab the whiteboard and say, oh, it was like, what are we doing out there? We need to get our heads right. And that to me is what you're seeing as a coach is more relevant than.
Yeah, I had a finals game one time where, it was the very first finals game against Melbourne Tigers against the Bullets. Hadn't been in the finals in 20 years. And, it was a lot of pressure, a lot of hype. And we got to the game and the first quarter and Melbourne's up 12, 14, 15 points. I call a timeout. And I brought everybody to the bench and I grabbed a board and I'm looking and everybody's looking at me, no one's talking. And I just put the board down and I said, you know what? We've been in a lot of timeouts this year. All right, CJ, you usually looking back there getting jelly beans. I said, Ebby, you looking off. Sam, you usually looking off. Dusty, yeah, you're looking at me like you normally do. And I said, you know what? Next time I call a timeout, I want all y'all being as silly and goofy as you have been all year. And everybody laughed. Timeout was over. We went out and erased a 12-point deficit and ended up winning the ball game just because I had to get them back to who they were.
That's coaching. You read the situation and you applied the appropriate strategy. Yeah. Okay, you didn't go on with the whiteboard. So I'm sorry. There's a lot of coaches out there that I think they see the camera and now that they're going to show how influential.
I don't know if it's just because of the camera, but I do think a lot of them get caught up in just offense and what they're running. Not even talk about defense. Sometimes you call a timeout and I'm looking in the huddle. This is your time to talk about that pick and roll because they've been killing you. Yeah. And it's, hey, we're going to run this. Yeah. And sometimes this kills me when they got to come out and look at their plays. It's not.
Oh, yeah, my little card.
I got 1,000 plays in my head right now that I haven't ran in 6 years that I can go run right now. If you can't remember it in a season, it's ridiculous.
I understand. I've seen that happening. I understand that some coaches need that. But I think if a coach needs sort of a cheat sheet to sort of remember, I've got to say this, or we're going to run this off my sheet, then the players, if you have to be reminded by a cheat sheet, your player's not going to remember that. That's when you need to get your board and draw it up.
Right. That's when you draw it up on the board because the actual play is usually not where you're going to get the shot from. It's the wrinkles. So you need to show them the wrinkles. Here, when you come off this screen, they're going to show hard because they've been switching. We're going to have a slip right here. Yeah. So that's what you're showing them more than just the set itself.
Okay. And we'll be back in a moment. Okay, we're back, and Shoot HQ in Melbourne, you're setting that up. How's that going?
Oh, it's going great. It's going great. The facility just turned out wonderful. We still got a few little things that we're doing, but we're open. We'd love for people to come in. Shoot HQ Notting Hill. Just Google us on the net. But, yeah, it's going really well. We had a first camp. Actually, the first camp I've done in Melbourne, personally, myself, ever.
Right.
I've worked some other people camps, but this is the first one I did. So that went really well. It's great when you're in there working, I'm in there painting and doing all this work and people are like, can we come now? And I'm like, nah, hold on. No, we come in. People are beating down. So we had cars of people driving up trying to get in. So I think it's going to be a great facility. If you need some training and development in Melbourne, make sure you guys come out and see us at Shoot HQ Notting Hill.
Is it bigger than the one you have in Adelaide?
It's much bigger than the one we have. It's probably 3 times as big as.
Yeah, it looked like it in some of the footage I've seen.
Yeah, we got recovery rooms, we got stretching rooms. It's a really great facility. And the great thing is, I get a chance to work with someone I worked with for 8 years, in Adam Gibson, who's an exceptional young man on the coaching floor and just a great human being. Yep. It's one of those things where I have players that go from being a player to a family member. And that's what Adam is. I'm engaged in his family and and he's engaged in mine, and it's a great opportunity to work together.
Okay, and it would be remiss of us to end the program without congratulating the Opals on winning the Asia Cup, and particularly standout Alex Fowler, the MVP of the tournament, and also in the All-Star fight with Stephanie Reed. It was a very good performance, a terrific final against Japan. Yeah. Finally got the Japan monkey off their back after the previous 3 Asia Cups. They lost the final to Japan, semi-final. So to get them was doubly good. Yeah. And we'll be back soon. So keep the subscriptions coming.